My fiancé Sam is a wildly unrestrained genius pianist. And I'm just an ordinary girl with a hearing disability. Sam despises people who lack musicality the most. To be worthy of him, I pretended to be passionate about piano and begged him to teach me. But he always mocked me. With palms longer than your fingers? You're better off planting rice. Later, when his first love returned from abroad, our engagement was called off. When I showed up at major business summits on the arm of my new fiancé, he pressed a knife to his own palm. If you really marry that brute, I'll make sure you never hear my piano again for the rest of your life. I calmly replied. To be honest, I never really appreciated it anyway. Chapter 01. The day Sam's first love came back to the country. I was at the wet market arguing with a vendor who shorted us on weight. Because of my hearing impairment, and the vendor's flapping lips and flying spit, I couldn't really make out what he was yelling, so I just threw myself on the ground with my grandma, howling and wailing like we'd rehearsed it. Panicked, the vendor shoved half a pig's trotter into our bag. I held back a smirk and helped Grandma up from the ground. Then I looked up and saw Sam sitting in a car. Our eyes met from afar. His noble face was expressionless as he turned away, speaking to the girl beside him, dressed like a princess. I could read his lips. The words formed clearly in my mind. How utterly embarrassing. I lowered my head awkwardly and brushed the dirt off my clothes, when I heard a bright, honeyed voice ring out faintly. Sam, want to introduce us? The golden couple stood in front of me, casting a glow over the entire marketplace. Sam frowned, but replied with forced patience. Amelia, she's the maid at my house. The girl giggled behind her hand. What do you mean just the maid? Isn't she also your fiancé? Sam, are you even a man? I panicked a little. He is a man, I can guarantee that. I don't know why, but after I said that, the girl nearly burst into tears from laughing. Sam's expression darkened further. My grandma, half blind and with early dementia, squinted at him for a long time but didn't recognize the boy whose life she once saved. She muttered a warning instead. Amelia, that yellow-haired rascal isn't a good kid. Don't play with him. But Sam had said. His hair wasn't yellow, it was gold. He'd spent a whole day and a small fortune to dye it that way. Even when the elders in the Shore family made him kneel at the ancestral hall for half a day, he refused to change it. Gold. As in Amelia's gold. That thought made me secretly happy. Grandma, this is Sam. Grandma tried to remember, while the girl across from us smiled sweetly and extended her hand. Hi, I'm Julia. I blinked slowly and reached out to take her soft, delicate hand. The lace cuffs of her sleeve brushed against the grime on my fingers. Sam seemed to click his tongue. I quickly pulled my hand back, but Julia kept smiling. Tonight, Sam booked a private room at Shueisha Pavilion to host a welcome dinner for me. Since you're his fiancé, you'll be coming too, right? I waved my hands nervously. No, you'll go if I say you'll go. Sam's voice was sharp, echoing like a mountain stream, full of irritation. I froze, wanting to explain I wasn't refusing. It's just, today is Grandma's birthday. And honestly, this was the first time I'd ever been invited to an event where Sam would be present. Why would I not want to go? Julia, forget it. She doesn't know what's good for her. She'd just embarrass herself anyway. How can I? If people say that the moment I returned, Sam's first love immediately overshadowed his fiancée. I couldn't bear that reputation. If anyone dares insult you, I won't let them off. I watched their back and forth. And suddenly, Grandma grinned like a child. Moonlight! That's what it was! When my Amelia was born, silver moonlight filled the room. I knew then, no one in the world could match her beauty or talent. The two of them paused. Julia looked like she was about to laugh. Sam's expression turned sour. I blushed and smiled awkwardly with Grandma, curling my toes tight inside my shoes. I didn't know why it felt so humiliating. Chapter 02. At first, I didn't even know what first love meant. When I asked around, people just chuckled. Only the cook who worked with me in Sam's house told me in a whisper. She was the young master's lover back then, a real beauty from a wealthy family. They grew up together. She was the one who should have married him, but no one knows why she went abroad. Your grandma got lucky and snatched you a golden husband. Quite the steal. Huh? So first love meant someone you once loved deeply and could never forget. Just like how I feel about my mom. I quietly reminded myself, if Sam loved her, then she must be someone amazing. I should try to love her too. When I heard she was coming back, Sam ignored me for days. I knew he was distracted. So in my spare time, I started knitting a blanket for her, hoping she'd like it. Grandma didn't seem too happy about the blanket. Sometimes she even cried silently when she saw me working on it. I thought she was missing my mom again, so I held her and sang gently to comfort her. The blanket was nearly finished. Sam's first love would return any day now. That day, Grandma didn't cry. She just clutched my hand tightly and repeated over and over, "My poor Amelia, it's all my fault. If I'd known, I should have let him die in the mountains." Silly Grandma. Everyone says I have a blessed life. I don't remember anything before I turned 6, but Grandma told me that my mother was a beauty admired far and wide, and my father was a wealthy businessman. Back when he was neither my father nor a businessman, Grandma and Mom found him injured in the wilderness. They saved him, and Mom naturally fell in love. They loved each other, until Mom got pregnant, and then he vanished. The old lady at the village entrance said that's what you call a heartless bastard. Soon after, Mom gave birth to me. The man who disappeared sent people to build us a fancy house and bought me new clothes, but he never came to see us. Not once. That's when people began saying, "Amelia was born with fortune. She brings wealth wherever she goes." But Mom got thinner and thinner, so fragile she could have been blown away by the wind. By the time she couldn't even hold me anymore, Grandma told me she was going to become a fairy and fly to heaven. But Grandma lied. They buried her in the ground. I panicked and jumped into the deep pit, hugging the heavy black coffin, crying until I passed out. That night, I had a terrible fever that wouldn't break. When I woke up, I remembered nothing. People laughed at me for being dumb, for being deaf. So Grandma dragged me house to house, raising hell. She was so fierce even the neighbor's big dog didn't dare bark up close. Someone else said, "Look how tough Amelia's fate is." She even broke open her grandma's coffin. Later, Grandma and I came across Sam, lying in a pool of blood in the hills. Even though she cried over baby chicks that died, Grandma pretended not to see him and pulled me home as fast as she could. She kept muttering, "A spirit come to claim lives." That night, Grandma didn't sleep. I didn't either, but I knew. At dawn, Grandma hid that blood-covered boy in the abandoned woodshed. The old ladies in town always said, "A house needs a man to be proper, then no one will dare bully you." I was thrilled. That night, I couldn't sleep. While Grandma wasn't looking, I whispered to the boy through the wall and tossed him candies. Sam didn't speak. He didn't eat the sweets. He was so pretty, like a porcelain doll. Sometimes, he'd tap lightly on the windowsill with those beautiful hands of his. I would sneak closer, trying to mimic the movements, my stiff fingers stumbling clumsily. But that's when I saw him smile. For the first time, he looked breathtaking. As he slowly recovered, one day, a fleet of cars suddenly pulled into our yard. I stood speechless, stunned by the luxury vehicles. Meanwhile, Grandma was arguing with a strange-looking man. 8-character compatibility. Celestial match. Red Phoenix star aligned. I didn't understand a word. All I knew was Grandma's face turned red with rage, and she tried to chase them away. Someone scoffed. With Amelia's background, being linked to Sam's family is a stroke of dumb luck. This old woman must be crazy. Grandma spat in his face. "If you're so eager, go marry into them yourself. My Amelia will never be anyone's cast-off wife." The people from the Sure family left, their faces dark, but they came back. This time, it was only Sam's mother. She cried as she spoke. Her red-rimmed eyes and delicate wrists reminded me of my own mother. I thought, maybe they were a little alike. That night, after the lights were out, I tugged on Grandma's earlobe to help me fall asleep. But suddenly, I heard her murmur, "Baby girl, don't blame your mama." Baby girl was my mother's childhood nickname. Chapter 03. In the end, I still went to Julia's welcome party. As the server opened the door for me, the people inside were playing some kind of game. The room buzzed with excitement. "Truth. Julia, tell us the truth. Did you come back to reclaim everything that belongs to you, including Sam?" The crowd erupted so loudly it nearly lifted the roof. I instinctively backed into a dimly lit corner. "Julia, radiant like the midday sun, wore an air of arrogance. If it's mine, it won't run. If it's not mine, I don't want it anyway. Sam stood beside her, his eyes full of warmth and affection, lips curled into a gentle smile. Don't worry, what you want won't get away. The room broke into chaos again. I couldn't understand the words clearly, but I suddenly wanted to run. Finally, someone noticed me and spoke with irritation. Who the hell are you? Can't tell you're in the wrong room? I straightened my back and answered seriously. I'm not in the wrong place. I'm Amelia, Sam's personal maid and his fiancée. The hell? I was about to speak again when Sam's cold and angry voice cut through the noise. Who told you to come? I blinked. Didn't you and Miss Julia? You refused before. And now you're crawling back for attention? Amelia, with a brain like yours, playing hard to get doesn't suit you. But I never refused. He stormed off with Julia in a huff after Grandma said that sentence. And I tried to catch up but couldn't. Well, you're here now. Don't be mad, Julia said brightly. Come, Amelia. Sit here. She took my arm. Her perfume was sweet and pleasant. I handed her the paper bag I'd been clutching. Miss Julia, just a little gift. I hope you'll like it. Whispers fluttered around us. Julia smiled politely. She opened the package and took out a light lavender knitted blanket. Her expression shifted. A flicker of surprise. You made this? Yes. Sam's voice rang out. Cold. Julia is allergic to ordinary yarn. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I lowered my head. Suddenly, I felt really sad. Julia laughed gently. That was ages ago. I've grown up. I'm not that delicate anymore. But Sam seemed even more upset. Damn, Sam, your fiancée sure knows her place. I heard from my mom she's your lucky star. I thought you'd keep her on a pedestal. No wonder Sam's so talented, not just on the piano, but in handling women too. The real question is, who'll wear the pants in the future? Julia shot the speaker a glare, but it had no effect. I won't marry her. A heavy cotton ball lodged in my chest. I couldn't breathe. Sam's voice was lazy and distant. She saved my life once, and my family's into all that superstition crap. So they made me agree to marry her. Marriage was just to appease her grandmother, to keep her around. I don't believe in that stuff, and there's no reason to honor some old promise, especially not to marry a girl who can't even understand music. When he finished, someone laughed. Julia, Sam's pledging loyalty. Looks like you've got this in the bag. Julia kept turning the blanket in her hands, a bit conflicted. What should I do? Amelia's so cute. I can't even feel jealous. She turned to me with a grin. Amelia, why don't you give up on Sam and come live with me? I won't need you to warm my bed, just play with me. Deal? It had been so long since someone called me cute. So long since anyone tried to make me laugh. But I couldn't smile. I didn't know why. It felt like my heart had been dumped into boiling oil, again and again. Instinctively, I looked at Sam's face. That expression. I'd seen it before. One spring, birds nested in the trees of his courtyard, loud, noisy flocks every morning. Sam found them annoying, so he had electric wires strung up across the garden wall. Soon after, many birds died along the base of the wall. The way he looked at them, it was the same look he gave me now. Maybe Auntie was right. Sam never liked me. Never liked Grandma either. To him, we were just like those birds. I shrank back, my eyes burning. I shook my head hard, like a broken toy. No. I don't want to. I didn't want anyone. I'd leave on my own. Julia kept smiling and tossed the blanket aside like it was nothing, turning back to chat and laugh with the others. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my pocket, twice. It was Grandma. I was about to answer when someone shoved a glass of alcohol into my hand. Don't make Julia lose face. Drink up. I never really understood what face meant. Why did everyone seem to want mine? I just wanted to answer Grandma's call. Today was her birthday. I'd promised I'd be home to eat longevity noodles with her. She must be waiting. The sharp liquid burned down my throat. I coughed. Sounds around me blurred into a haze. One drink, then another, and another. They laughed and teased. Someone came too close. A hand touched my leg. Sam's face darkened. He said something, but I couldn't hear a word. He pulled me up. The world spun. Before I blacked out, I glanced at his hand, blue veins bulging. Not that beautiful anymore. Chapter 04. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. You're finally awake. We had to pump your stomach. You're on your period. And you've got a chronic condition. Don't you know you're not supposed to drink? The nurse changing my four looked stern. I nodded slowly, staring at the clear blue sky outside the window, feeling dazed. Oh, by the way, your phone rang a bunch of times last night. Someone was probably looking for you. I sat up suddenly. There were 21 missed calls from Grandma on my phone. When I called her back, the dial tone felt like it lasted forever. Crying just like your grandma. Huh? The nurse mumbled as she walked out. No one answered. Just then, the hospital room door opened, and Grandma walked in, carrying several items, mumbling to herself. Steamed buns and soy milk for Amelia, her favorite. Steamed rolls and tofu pudding for me, I love it. Flatbread and beef soup for Oliver, his favorite. I quickly wiped my tears. Grandma! Oh, come, she waved me over, then squinted suspiciously at the nurse nearby. Whose child are you? Why are you up so early? The nurse wasn't surprised. She helped set up the table tray and left. As she was closing the door, she called out, Mr. Oliver. The next second, a tall man walked in. With each step closer, my eyes widened more. He was so good-looking, like one of those massive underwear model posters in shopping malls that make your heart race. But unlike the cold, brooding type, he was smiling brightly. Hi, I'm Oliver. I found your grandma yesterday by the roadside on DUN Street. I tried calling you, but no one answered, so I bought her a bowl of birthday noodles. And this morning she insisted on buying me breakfast. DUN Street. That was really far from the nursing home Grandma lived in. I didn't ask how he found the hospital. I just reverently reached out to shake his hand, thanking him over and over. His hand was broad and strong, with defined joints. The moment I grasped it, I couldn't help but squeeze a little. Warm and firm, like a freshly baked sesame flatbread, clean and solid. He suddenly chuckled softly. I let go in embarrassment and quickly apologized. Sam hated it when I touched his hands. Sometimes, just staring at them too long would make him angry. What are you staring at? Can't you tell I'm already annoyed? I never dared say I couldn't hear clearly. Truth was, I was mesmerized by the way his fingers danced. It was beautiful. He wouldn't let me explain. From then on, I was banned from the piano room. I felt a bit wronged, but also relieved. Because sometimes, after he played a piece, he'd pause deliberately, waiting for my reaction. I wasn't good at lying, but I'd still try to pull a few praise words from the reviews others gave him, just to make him happy. If he was satisfied, he'd keep playing. If not, he'd frown and ask if my brain was as broken as my ears. If you don't want it, throw it away. He was a genius. His mom always said geniuses are moody, so I never got angry. I just got used to being sad. Don't apologize, Oliver said with a smile. It just tickled. Your hands soft like cotton. He took a big bite of the flatbread. Cheeks puffed like a squirrel as he sipped the soup. He ate with gusto, but not in a way that felt crude. Watching him made me realize I was hungry too. That meal was especially satisfying. Even Grandma had a bigger appetite than usual. Oliver finished first. He poured 2 glasses of water and placed a box of tissues in the center of the table. I looked at the toned muscle in his arm and tilted my head thoughtfully. Then I asked him, "Do you happen to need a wife?" Chapter 05. Grandma always said, when judging a person, don't just look at the outside, look at whether they can build a life with you. The old women in the village said a man should be strong and fierce, able to knock out a few shameless old men with one punch. I felt Oliver fit all the requirements. Unfortunately, I didn't have much money. I probably couldn't even afford to hire him as a bodyguard. Auntie once said, the greatest sincerity a woman can offer a man is to marry him. Sam, she said, had no heart. But I thought Oliver was different. And he was different. The moment he nodded and said, "Yes, I do," he blushed completely red. His hands didn't seem to know where to go. Then, "I'll be your wife. You protect Grandma and me. Deal?" Deal. Of course. That made me really happy. Grandma looked happy too. We'd finally have a man in the house. I'd handle the home. He'd handle the outside world. Grandma could enjoy her later years by our side in peace. It sounded perfect. But then a thought struck me, what if he didn't want Grandma to live with us? Just like in Sam's house, where there were so many rooms, but his mother insisted there was no space. I cried and begged Sam to help. I told him I was afraid Grandma would be lonely and scared all alone in the nursing home. He only sneered. My mom only promised her life would be taken care of by our family. She never agreed to give your grandma a retirement plan. That's when I realized, maybe Grandma and I had been fooled. But I didn't dare question it. I was afraid Sam would turn into the teachers at school, saying, "You should reflect on why they always bully you, but not others." They were so alike sometimes, and yet I couldn't explain exactly how. But I had already decided to leave Sam's family. All the things I couldn't understand before were no longer worth holding on to. Just as I was trying to figure out how to convince Oliver to let Grandma live with us, the nurse came in to remove my four. Turns out the drip was finished. While the nurse was removing the needle, Oliver was making a phone call. Only 3 minutes after he hung up, 3 men in sharp suits walked into the room. One was pushing a wheelchair, another gently helped Grandma up, and the third was speaking with the nurse about discharge procedures. Oliver picked me up and placed me in the wheelchair, then started pushing me toward the exit. As I was marveling at how Oliver's car looked even more impressive than Sam's, my phone rang. It was Sam. I answered. His annoyed voice echoed both in my ear and from nearby. "Didn't you see all the messages I sent you? Can't believe you're still out when things are already over." I turned slightly. His tall figure brushed past me, cold and rushed. I bit my lip. I'm not going back." There was a short silence, then a snort of laughter. "Not coming back? Great, then don't ever come back." "Do you really mean that? What else? If not for my mom, do you think I'd ever look at you twice? Lucky star? Guardian angel? If it weren't for you, Julia wouldn't have cut off contact with me while she was abroad. And after coming back, she wouldn't constantly bring you up between us. When your grandma saved me back then, she wasn't doing it out of kindness. Who hides a wounded person instead of calling for help? Afraid someone else would steal the credit. What else could it be? That's because my mom, yeah, your mom too. I heard she pulled the same trick to get a big sum of money. She had the luck to make money, but not the life to spend it. And your grandma, who knows if she's even really sick? You know what? The biggest mistake of my life was giving your family the chance to hold that favor over my head. Suddenly, I remembered how Grandma would go around the village collecting eggs. Sam had a delicate stomach. He couldn't eat anything coarse, but he loved eggs. So Grandma made all kinds of egg dishes for him. Boiled eggs, steamed custard, egg pancakes, egg dumplings. When the chickens at home didn't lay enough, she'd go buy more from neighbors. One day it rained heavily. Grandma slipped on the muddy path and fell. All the eggs in her basket shattered on the ground. She didn't care about the pain, and I didn't care about the rain. I rushed out of the kitchen with an enamel bowl, and together, we scooped up what clean yolk we could. That day, we ate a lot of eggs. I remember feeling so happy, but now, when I think back, all I remember is the strong smell of herbal ointment on Grandma's body, and Sam's face, full of entitlement. We're not the ones holding the favor over your head. I paused, thinking hard for the right words. You're the one morally manipulating us, pushing the limits over and over. If it weren't for my grandma, you'd already be dead. For the first time ever, I hung up on Sam. After a long, deep breath, I reached up to wipe my tears. That's when I realized my hands were shaking. But then, another pair of broad hands wrapped gently around mine. Warm, dry, steady. A deep, calm voice sounded in my ears. Don't be afraid. Chapter 06. I didn't expect Oliver's house to be even bigger than Sam's, and he even arranged Grandma's room right next to mine. Across from her was a room filled with various machines. A kind-looking woman politely explained it was a home medical room, a place for Grandma and me to get treatment. I stared in surprise and asked Oliver how he knew I was ill. Then I hurriedly added, I wasn't insulting myself. Sam used to say I was dumb. Sometimes, I'd even insult myself without realizing it. But when they called me deaf, they were wrong. I wasn't deaf. I just had a condition. I couldn't hear very well. Oliver reached out and gently ruffled my hair. His handsome eyes curved with a smile. I know what you meant. I'm not an idiot. That's right. Sam was the idiot. At Oliver's house. I still woke up at 6 in the morning. When the kitchen auntie saw me putting on an apron, she looked flustered and politely said, "If you want something, just tell us. Don't get your hands dirty." So I took off the apron and went outside to sweep the leaves. But soon, a bunch of people showed up with brooms. And within minutes, the yard was spotless. Scratching my head, I wandered into the laundry room. I picked out a few suits that looked clean but didn't smell fragrant, and hand-washed them with detergent. Then I tossed them in the washer to spin, just as I was thinking how nice it was that no one came to stop me from doing chores anymore. A woman in an apron appeared at the door, voice trembling. "Excuse me, did you just wash the suits that were here?" I smiled brightly. Yep. They didn't look dirty, but they didn't smell nice either. So I washed them. She went pale like she was about to faint. Oliver found out and just burst out laughing. So Amelia likes her clothes to smell good? Then next time, help me pick out colognes for my wardrobe. Later, I learned that those suits weren't just not machine washable. They were worth enough to buy a nice apartment for an average family. Oliver's house really was enormous. I wandered around the back hills for ages before I found my way out, arms full of pretty wildflowers I'd picked. I wanted to give them to Oliver, but then I saw the greenhouse up ahead. It was packed with vibrant, extravagant blossoms of every kind. Awkwardly, I placed my handful of wildflowers to the side. As the sky darkened, I sat with Grandma on the patio recliner, watching the sunset. That's when Sam's mom called. "Amelia, I thought you were a sensible girl. How could you start fighting with Sam the moment Julia returned? You've been gone for 2 days. If you don't come home tonight, Sam will only be more upset." She always spoke like this, as if Sam's happiness was my top priority. If I didn't change the bedsheets on time, she'd say it'd make his morning moods worse. If I didn't position his trophies just right, she'd say it would ruin his confidence before a competition. If the piano keys weren't shiny enough, she'd say his playing would suffer. She once told me, "Not just anyone can be a wife in our family. Sam is exceptional. You must be the most stable stepping stone beneath his feet." And that's when I understood. I was important. But after all those days, all those years, no matter how hard I worked, how much I tried to make him smile, Sam treated me no differently than he did anyone else in his house. I could only assume I still wasn't good enough. But Julia, just one look from her, and he softened instantly. Gentle, thoughtful, kind. That's when I realized. So he was capable of caring for someone. Her voice on the phone grew urgent. "Listen to me, sweetheart. Come back now. Sam's visibly lost weight these past 2 days without you." In the past, hearing that would have made me panic. I'd rush to the kitchen to invent a new recipe, hoping for a vague not bad from him. But Oliver was nothing like that. Just this afternoon, I handed him a glass of water. He drank it in one gulp and exclaimed, "How did you know I was thirsty? It's the perfect temperature too." I'd blushed all over and floated for the rest of the day. Even now, hearing Sam's mom didn't irritate me as much. I'm not going back. If Sam's lost weight, you can make him some porridge. He loves. Suddenly, the background grew noisy. Then Sam's voice came through, cold and commanding. "Where are you? I'm coming to get you." Chapter 07. It was rare to hear Sam speak with repressed anger while still trying to sound patient. I hesitated only briefly before pressing my lips together. "No need. I'm doing well here. Grandma doesn't need to go back to the nursing home anymore either." Then I quickly added, "I know you're not worried because you care. You just feel sorry for me. But I'm not someone to pity anymore, okay? Don't worry, Amelia. I'll ask you one more time, where are you?" Instinctively, I pulled my phone a little further from my ear. Whenever he used that tone, I couldn't help but feel scared. But this time, I forced myself to answer. "I can't tell you. Besides, you already have Miss Julia, don't you?" Heh, still playing hard to get? Didn't expect you to be this jealous. I wanted to say no, but he never listened to my explanations. "Stop being ridiculous with that brain of yours. How do you expect to survive out there?" I shot back. I can earn money. Earn money? You think you can support your grandma? Don't make me laugh. I started counting on my fingers. The kitchen auntie earns $10,000 a month, not even including groceries. The gatekeeper uncle gets $7,000. They live and eat in your house too. But I did more work than both of them combined. And except for those festival red envelopes everyone gets, I never saw a single penny. The nursing home doesn't cost money? I asked. Grandma doesn't live in a private suite. She eats the basic meal plan and gets the simplest health checks. All in all, a little over $4,000 a month. There was silence on the other end. Across the lawn, Oliver stepped out of the greenhouse. In his hand was the bouquet of wildflowers I had left there earlier. Smiling, he walked toward me. If that's all, I'll hang up now. Amelia, you'd better not regret this. Okay. I ended the call. Oliver strolled up to me and stood right in front of me. I found this bouquet, beautiful and unique, for you. I blinked fast. The happiness bubbling in my chest was impossible to hide. I picked those. I went up the back hill. There were lots more. He grinned, eyes squinting with joy. So you picked them. Can you take me next time? Sure. There are mushrooms and wood ear fungus up there too. I paused, worried he'd be like Sam and think they were dirty. But they're not dirty. Really, they taste amazing. He burst into laughter, his eyes glowing. How could they be dirty? I just realized, this place is full of hidden treasures. My nose tingled, and I stared at him in a daze. I thought to myself, Oliver is a truly good person, just like Grandma. We got our marriage certificate. On the way home, I stared at our photo, the one the clerk had raved about, and I had to admit, I looked different from usual. What's different? Oliver asked. I look smart, like someone good at school. He paused, then gently patted my head. You've always been smart. Grandma used to say the same thing, that before age 6. I was the smartest kid in the village. I had a photographic memory. I could draw anything. But now, my hands only knew how to wash dishes, cook, and feed chickens. Whose fault was that? No one's, really. But everyone said, Amelia might be a bit slow, but she works fast and looks lovely. Whoever marries her is lucky. Only the limping man in the village had said he wanted to marry me. And yet, here I was, married to someone wonderful. I must really be blessed. Because Oliver always reminded me. The doctor who treated me also said kind things. And little by little, I started to believe it too. Amelia isn't stupid. She's just sick. I took 3 types of medication every day. I also went to the doctor to solve puzzles, chat, and draw. They all said I was very talented at painting. Oliver even cleared out a room just for my art. He'd frame my finished pieces and hang them on the wall. Grandma smiled more than ever now. One day, she handed me a bank book. I counted the zeros and gaped at her. Her eyes were no longer clouded. She smiled and said the money had been left by Mom. She told me to hide it. Tell no one. I nodded hard. I knew this was the safety net Mom and Grandma had fought to give me. One day, I passed a full-length mirror. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my reflection, and I stopped. I stared. I couldn't explain it. But something looked different. Like a newly sprouted tree. Like a bird ready to fly. Like every color had landed in just the right place. When I told Oliver what I'd noticed, he pulled me into a hug and laughed. Amelia's finally growing up. I understood, and I was happy too. Oliver started taking me everywhere. Private parties with friends, family banquets on yachts, even red carpet business galas. Whenever we met someone new, he always introduced me by name, proudly. Later, I got used to it too. I could confidently introduce myself now, and every time I did, Oliver looked at me with pride in his eyes. And I started to feel proud of myself too. I held my own art exhibition. It went viral. In less than half a year. The media no longer called me Oliver's wife. They called me the artist Amelia. Until one day, I walked the red carpet at another summit with Oliver on my arm, and saw Sam. Seated at the piano. Chapter 08. The music stopped abruptly. From a distance, he rose stiffly and walked toward me without pause. Camera flashes went off like lightning, and then, he was standing in front of us. In my memories, Sam always looked elegant and handsome in a suit. But now, his shoulders seemed too narrow, his waist too slim, and the pant legs hung loose and awkward. Oliver wore suits much better. I was just thinking that when Sam finally spoke. His voice strained. Impressive move. Sir, if I hadn't lowered myself to perform at this place, I probably wouldn't have seen Amelia again in this lifetime. Huh? Oliver's voice was calm, sharp, compared to a man constantly scheming to get close to my wife. What I did was nothing. Sam let out a cold laugh. Of course, a mobster like you, Oliver. I suppose I should be grateful you didn't just kill me. Then he turned to me. Amelia, do you even know who the man beside you is? Do you know how many lives he's ruined? You don't know anything. How can you dare stay with someone like... I know. I interrupted. He froze. Stunned. I know. Everyone has a past. Don't they? If Oliver had a choice back then, maybe he could have grown up like you, pampered, privileged, never lifting a finger. His eyes widened. I could tell, in his mind, I was still that slow, naive girl who could barely string a sentence together. Just like me, I continued. The day your family drove their cars into our courtyard, my fate was rewritten without my consent. I didn't get to choose anything either, but I still worked for your family for free, like a servant, 4 years. But didn't I promise you a future? He shot back. We're a musical family. You came from a village, barely educated. Marrying into our family was more than most girls could ever dream of. Wasn't it your mother's controlling obsession that tricked my grandma into handing me over to your family? His lips parted, but no words came out. His face turned pale. It's no use, Sam, I said quietly. I'm not that girl anymore, and don't you ever speak badly about anyone beside me again. If I find out, I'll return every insult, twice as hard. Sam knew better than anyone the kind of person I was. Once, a crazed fan had somehow found his home address. She stood outside every day screaming his name. The police were called, but she turned hateful, slandering him online, claiming he was heartless and talentless. I chased her 2 blocks with a broom, stood in front of the luxury neighborhood, shouting at her without holding back. She posted a video of me online, and I got ridiculed for days. But the internet turned on her, and she eventually disappeared. So Sam knew, I was the kind of person who would fight tooth and nail for the ones I cared about. And once I gave my heart, I gave it all. Now I watched him, calmly, as his eyes turned red. The next second, a utility knife appeared in his hand, and he pressed it hard against his palm. If you really choose him over me, then for the rest of your life, you'll never hear my music again. My hearing had recovered a lot, but I still didn't care much for music. Oliver never listened to it either. He preferred dancing with me. At first, I couldn't follow the beat, but as I matched his steps, one by one, the music suddenly became beautiful. So even if Sam never played again, it didn't feel like a loss at all. Seeing me unmoved, Sam pressed the blade harder. A thin line of blood opened in his palm. Amelia, I'm not joking. Oliver gently pulled me back. Careful, don't get blood on my wife's dress. Sam's eyes were filled with sorrow. If you break up with him now, we can go get the marriage certificate. Right away. I'll announce to everyone that you're my wife. I'll make my mother move out. The house will be yours. You'll be in charge of everything. Whatever he does for you now, I'll do too. All of it. Amelia, look at me. I looked at him for a brief moment, then pointed somewhere behind him. Julia's here too. Chapter 09. He froze, then turned sharply to look where I was pointing. Julia was laughing, wine glass in hand, chatting with someone. The man beside her looked familiar, probably the high-ranking official who'd been on TV recently. Rumor had it they were engaged. Sam's face twisted in disdain. She's not worth my time. Don't bring her up again. I blinked, a bit surprised. Then my gaze dropped to the blood in his hand, and I returned to the earlier topic. I never told you I understood music, so you don't need to care whether I hear your piano or not. Honestly, I never appreciated it to begin with. The color drained from his face. His hand trembled, the knife trembling with it. Suddenly, he shouted, "You're lying. You used to praise my playing in so many different ways, you even begged me to teach you." He suddenly pointed the blade at me. Oliver stepped in front of me, calm and prepared. A few poised men in black quickly rushed over, disarmed Sam, and respectfully asked him to leave while restraining his arms. Sam's face turned crimson, a noble, elegant piano prodigy, humiliated like this in public. I linked my arm with Oliver's. "Let's go. You'll regret this. Amelia!" His voice rang out behind us, followed by the sound of security dragging him away. The commotion drew plenty of attention. Julia noticed me. Her eyes lit up. "So you are here. I've been wanting to find you ever since you left Sam's house. I knew we'd run into each other again. Long time no see. Miss Julia." She looked me up and down, then smiled. "I want to apologize for what happened before. I spoke carelessly, didn't know how to consider other people's feelings. Do you think you could forgive me? I'd really like us to be friends." Julia had always been clever. She knew when to yield and when to smile. She had a face that could beg or boast without making anyone hate her. Spoiled, but not cruel. Materialistic, but not heartless. She was the perfect example of a sheltered little princess. Truth is, I never really blamed her. Maybe I even envied her a little. But becoming friends? Probably not right. I smiled politely. "I wouldn't say I forgive you, but I never blamed you either." She grinned and raised her hand. A huge diamond ring sparkled on her finger. "I'm getting married. Gorgeous, right?" I nodded. "It's beautiful," then hesitated before asking, "Why didn't you marry Sam?" "Marry him?" She burst out laughing. "I never planned to marry him." "Sure, he's talented and pretty, but he's the kind of guy you date for fun. Marriage with someone like that? That's a disaster. Let's not even talk about how twisted and moody he is. He only knows how to play the piano. His mom's crazy too. They've got some money, but not that much. What exactly would I be marrying into?" I went abroad because I wanted to break up. That was just an excuse. He kept posting sad boy poetry online like he was heartbroken. Everyone thought he was pining for me. But when I first saw you after coming back, I knew it. He was doomed to fall for you. Honestly, I was even kind of looking forward to it. I stared at her, speechless. So, that so-called piano prodigy's first love was nothing but a fragile fantasy. A paper-thin illusion. When someone truly loves you, they won't let you become a distant moonbeam cast on the floor. They'll keep you close, like warmth in their hands. Just then, Oliver walked over, holding a small plate of beautiful desserts. "Tiramisu," he said. "Saw your favorite and thought of you. Try it." The soft sweetness melted on my tongue. I couldn't help but squint my eyes in delight. He chuckled. "Guess that means it's good?" Very good." The bitterness of the past mixed with the sweetness of now, blending into the perfect aroma of coffee. Under the hazy moonlight, love and dessert coexisted beautifully.